Hi, you might have been involved in designing some PCB boards like this. For example, this is a PID controller kit, and maybe another one. This is a power supply with a prototyping kit, for example. I have designed these things using software. So if you want to use a PCB designer or software available from the internet, I think you might think about EasyEDA or KiCad. They are free tools available and you can download them and use them straight away. But if you look at the job descriptors or the industry and the requirements about PCB designs and the tools that they are using, I think the story is a little bit different. Most of the job descriptors that I have seen require Altium to be essential for skilled engineers. Compared with KiCad and EasyEDA, which are free, Altium is a paid tool. But the industry like Altium because they can guarantee the support. EasyEDA and KiCad, they are very good tools, but there is no support. And if you have an issue in your project, you can't contact the owners or the creators to get support from them to address your issue. But Altium is a very professional software that can make your design easier and also faster. So this video is sponsored by Altium. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to Altium, and step by step, we are going to design a very simple circuit, and we end it with a fabrication files that can be sent to any company. So you might think that you can't afford the price of Altium. So down below the video, in the video descriptor, you can find a link. That link enables you to download the trial version, and that at least will enable you to absorb all the information from this video and apply it there. And if you are in the academia or a student, you can access license for 6 months for Altium by going to Altium Education, and you can get a license for 6 months, which is a very great thing from Altium to enable students and also beginners to kickstart using Altium. And the beauty also in Altium, they have already on YouTube Altium Academy, where they provide tutorials, videos, lessons, and that will bring your awareness to every tool in the software without any problem. And recently Altium already got Octopart. Octopart is a website or a tool that provides Altium with the availability of some components and the prices, and also maybe more information about the sellers. And by this way, you can finalize your bill of material and also the price of all your parts in your PCB in a very decent time. So let's get started by starting Altium Designer. So when you start it, it will ask you for an email and password. So you should have already created an account on altium.com, their website, to get access. And also it will enable you to get a cloud account. That cloud account will enable you to save all the project files online. So here we start. We have already now Altium is running, so we can look at the panels. Here we have the mid panel where we have our name if we are signed in. If you already have some updates or some news about the recent tools installed for Altium. On the right side here we have the component, and if it's not visible, so I will show you how to go for visibility. So you can just press on panel here and choose what is the panel you want to appear on the right side, and you have here on the left the project and also the cloud account and what other things that already are opened. Okay, so if we want to start now a new project, we go to File and then New and Project. And now when you have this window, so it says here on the left, so you can save your project on a local machine, where you choose one of your local drives and save your files on, or you can keep it on the cloud if you already have created an account on the cloud. So I will keep it on the cloud, and now I will start a very simple project. That project is just 3 components, and I will call it LED E, for example. Okay, and if you add any description, you can do here. So that's everything, and you can do create. So here we go. We have the project title here, but there is no file inside it. And I think if we want to do any project, we have to have 2 files. One for the schematics, where we install or insert the components and make all the connections, and one for the PCB where we connect them
by cover. Okay, so if we want, we can just go to the project name here, and by adding by right click here, you can add new to the project, and we want to add schematic file here, and here we go. We have this white sheet as a schematic, and we repeat that, but we will add this time PCB sheet, and we got this black sheet here to insert our component later. But there is one important note here. If we just worked on this sheet here and the PCB, we inserted some components here from the default library in the Altium, I think we will face trouble if we already installed a different version of Altium, or we have moved this project to a different machine with different Altium. I think if the components are not really similar by name and by footprint, I think we will face a big problem, and that will be very frustrating for you. So what is the best practice for this? After you finish your sheet insertion or creation, and also PCB file creation, we have to insert something called library. And for the sheet, for the schematic sheet, we have to insert a library called schematic library. And the schematic library is library that will contain all the components we have already installed in our sheet. And once you open it here like that, it opens for you with a default empty component here, but we don't need that now. So we go back to projects again. Okay, so this is the library that will contain all the components that we will be inserting them on the schematic sheet here. Okay, similarly for the footprints, where we save the footprints, I think we need to add a new project here, but PCB library. Okay, so we have now 4 files. Again, the sheet file, the schematic file, we go back here. The schematic file, this is where we insert our components and make all the connections. The PCB file, where we insert our components and footprints of our components and connect them by cover and traces. But these components should have already been saved on a library, because if we want to move them to another machine or another Altium, or we edit that later after we just format our machine, I think that will be easier to bring all the components from these libraries and map them, okay, rather than depending on the default library of Altium. So that's the library here, and that's the library here. What is the next step is to save them, and let's now go to press here right button and go save as, and you should just save it by any name. I will choose to save it as lead E schematic like this, and save it. And we'll do that also for the PCB. Save as lead E PCB and save it. And then for the libraries, we do the same thing. Now this is the PCB library where I make save it, and I'd like to just remove this one and make lead E PCB library and keep it like this. And similarly for the schematic here, save it and we remove this one, and here lead E schematic library and save it. Okay, and once you save everything here, you have to save all the project by pressing this button here, and also it's better to save all files to the server by pressing that one if you're already saving your project on the cloud. And this window will appear, and we press OK. And that's done now. So we already initiated our project with 4 files, one for schematic and schematic library, and one for PCB and PCB library. Now let's get started with inserting some components. Where are the components? If you look at the right here, you will find here panel button. That panel button will enable you to access other panels here, or sub panels, and go to component 1, which is this one here, and press on it, and you will find here some a drop list here, and you can choose generic components. They are already generated by Altium, and miscellaneous devices, miscellaneous connectors. And you have here a library. That library, I think you know what is this library. This library is our library, our project library. So if all components are already saved in that library, we will find them here. All right. But now there is no component. This is a default empty component, so forget this one. But now if we want to get the default components in Altium, this is just for example and demonstration only. So if we want to get a resistor, we write resistor, okay, and here's the resistor. We just extend that one like that if we want, and this is the resistor. We drag it and drop it here, but it doesn't drop. So what we need to do, we are not on the schematic file, we are on the library file, which is wrong. So we have to go to schematic file. So we have to go to the components here, and we drag it and drop it here. Yes, we have it. Okay, so this is our first component. If you want to zoom in, we press Ctrl and use the wheel of the mouse to zoom in. Okay, so this is our first component, for example. And if we want a lid, we go to this side here and we write lid, enter, and yes, this is the lid. We drag and drop. Okay, so this is very simple now, and we know how to do it, and it's maybe similar to other softwares. However, if I kept using these and we uninstall this Altium, we install another Altium, we move to another machine, I think we will have a risk or uncertainty finding the same components with the same names and with the same footprints. So that's why I avoid using this way. So how to do it in the right way? One of the best ways is to go to a reseller company like DGK, for example, and you select there the component that you want. And the good thing there is it enables you to import the footprint and the symbol for the component that is already available in the market. So for example, I want a resistor, and the resistor is 330 ohm, and I want it to be SMD, surface mounted, by package of 0805. So if you don't know what is 0805, pause the video and go and search for resistor package 0805. It's SMD, it's not a throw hole. So I want to choose this because I want to make my board have one component SMD and another component throw hole. So let's now press enter, and let's check what is the list appears here. I think yes, we are looking for resistors surface mount. So let's press on this. And you can also go for another term of filtration. For example, if you know a specific or particular manufacturer you want to deal with, you can choose that. Otherwise, you can go for example, 330 ohms, okay? Because it's not very critical application of PCB, and it will drive just a lid. So the tolerance is not really critical. So I will choose it as 5. And also the power quarter is more than enough. If you have any other preferences, please select from here. So it's up to you. Now down below here, we should have our component in stock, and it's better if it has CAD model. Okay, it will easy for us to make 3D visualization for our board. Okay, and after we apply, look at that. It says now 3 components are meeting your selections, and that is what we want. Okay, because less components easier to choose. And look at that, we have the first component here. Look at its picture. Yeah, it's a resistor, but it's not the usual resistor that I deal with or I want, so I will skip this one. The second one seems all right for me, third one seems all right, but I will choose the second one. So I press on this one, and after it opens, that's great, we have 5,000 in stock. And also you can go another time, double check the component values and also specification if you want, if it's the component that you want or no. But the most important thing is the code of the component. We have here 3 codes, okay? But these 3 codes are similar, but the way that they provide it, sometimes by a reel, okay? Sometimes by just a strip of components and it's already cut in, or another reel, okay? But I don't like the real one because the real one is for place machines, but I don't need it now. So I will choose this cut tape. So let's copy this one and go back to Altium. In Altium, we go to panel and go for manufacturer parts search, and after it appears here, okay, we just maximize it a little bit, and we go for the search and we paste the code that we already got from DigiKey, and it will import all the information from DigiKey and will bring it here. As you see, it is a resistor, okay? And if we press on this one, the tin one here, okay, it says you have all these suppliers for this resistor, and you can compare the quantity and also the prices. In addition, it tells you about the sample and the footprint, which is very great thing, okay? Now, what's the next step? This is what is on DigiKey, but how I import it to Altium. You can import it by placing that. For example, you can go to this one and place that. If you are in schematic file here, you have this option as a place, okay? But if you place it, you just place it without saving it in your library. Our goal is to save it in our library. How to do that? We have to go and download it. And this is a resistor, okay? So I will call it resistor 0805 and will save it. And after a few seconds, you will get this information: component successfully downloaded. Press OK. And you can go to your folder, okay? And here is the compressed file of our component. So let's extract it. And once it's done, let's see what is inside. We will see 3 files. The first file from the bottom here, it says resistor 0805 schematic library. So this is the schematic library that I can insert in our library here, and it will be saved in my project. The second one is PCB library, and the third one is the package, okay? I need just the 2 files, the schematic and PCB. So how I insert them in our library for the project and can be saved forever? I will grab this one and just drop it here somewhere, okay? And it will open for me. It will open a sample here for the resistor, and this is the name of the component. I need to copy that, okay, and go to my project, and then go to my schematic library, and then go to schematic library, this tab here, and then I paste it, okay? So this is my resistor. I can just double click on this and rename it by going to resistor 0805 and enter, and that's done, okay? So I need to remove this one because this is a default component from Altium once I create my library. So this is my first component, and down below here, okay, you will find it's coming with 3 names of footprints, but these 3 names are not my exported footprints, so I need to delete them now, okay? Delete. And I then later will attach it to my exported or imported one, okay? So let's go to project again and go to my file. So now let's do the second one, which is the PCB for my resistor. And again, it will open for me, okay, like this. And it says this file has 3 components, 3 footprints for my component, okay? And I think once you just observe, I think the differences are few. One is wider layout than the other, so I will choose the narrowest one, okay, the smaller one, which is this one. So I copy it and go to my project, the PCB library, and then PCB library here, and then paste it, okay? So by this way, I have my resistor. So I'll double click and call it resistor 0805, and we'll say okay and remove this one because it's not needed, okay? And by this way, I have now saved my footprint and saved my sample in my PCB library and schematic library, okay? But they are not linked together. So how to do the linkage? Before I do that, I have to save the project first, okay? And then go to my resistor, okay? Go to schematic library here, okay? And then here, I tell Altium to add a footprint, but I will browse from my PCB library where I saved that footprint, okay? And by this way, I link every schematic sample, okay, with a footprint, and that will ease for us every step later, okay? And I will say yes, and that's done, okay? So we have done for our first component. I need just to close the things that already I imported the files from, and that's done. Now let's do the second component. I can now go to schematic and go to my library here, okay? But to find all the details you have to save, because we didn't save after we linked the footprint with my resistor. So now this is the resistor and this is the footprint, okay? And now it's done. If I want to insert that, I just drag and drop, and that is saved within my project files. If I moved it, it will come with it, and I have no problem to map them, okay? Now I need a lid. So again, to in DigiKey, I need to say lid 5mm, for example. And yes, I need lid indication discrete. And you can go for another 10 of filtration. For example, I need the red one. So let's choose the red one here, okay? And also again, I want that in stock, and if it has CAD, that will be good. And here we have 251 component, apply, go down. We have also a long list of component here, the same thing, they are all lids, okay? So let's start with the first one, for example. Let's see if it will work with us or no. And here is the code, so we can copy that and go to Altium. And again, we can go to panel and then manufacture part search. I paste that code, and yes, we have that component here. It is available on DigiKey, but it's not available in other resellers, okay? And also the most important part is there is nothing for the symbol and footprint, okay? What I can do is just I can download the data sheet, which is useless for me because I need the symbol and data sheet, okay, and the footprint. So let's go back to DigiKey and select another one, and we can go down. I think from this company WE, I think it's good components, so let's have this one, and let's copy the code, go to Altium again and paste that. And yes, we have the component here. It's available in many resellers with different prices, different stocks, which is great. And the most important thing is it has a symbol and footprint, which is great. What's the next step? We can download. And again, we have 3 libraries here. We need just the schematic and PCB ones. Again, we just drop that here. We can close this one, okay? So this is the symbol. Yes, I want this one, and I copy it, and now I go to my project, schematic, and schematic library here, and I paste it. So now I'm saving my second component symbol, and double click on this one, and I choose to rename it as lid 5mm and enter. So it's done. That footprint is not needed now. I will add my footprint, so I will remove it now and go back. So let's now bring my PCB library, and here it is. So this is the footprint for my lid. Copy this one and go back to project. I want it in my PCB library, and go to PCB library here and paste it. And now I can rename it as lid 5mm and press OK. And now everything is done, but I need to go back and save everything and then go to my component. So I have saved the footprint, I have saved the symbol, but I didn't link them together. I have to go to my schematic library again. Okay, this is the lid. And here I say add footprint, and I tell Altium that I want to select this footprint, which I already created in my PCB library. Okay, and this is done. And now I can save everything, and now I can insert it to my schematic if I want. So let's go to my library here, and yes, I have a second component. Okay, where I can just insert by drag and drop. Okay, so two components are finished now. Let's get a connector that will enable the power to go to my from external power supply to my board and light up my LED. So let's go back to DigiKey and say header, for example, 2.54 mil, and from this list I think we already have this rectangular connectors header male pins, and down below we can go for another 10 of filtration. For example, I need this one to have 2 positions only. Okay, and I can select one of the manufacturer. For example, WE is good, and one popular manufacturer is Molex, so I will choose Molex now. If you have other preferences, for example, you can go for it, but okay, I think board to cable, because from board to cable, yes, and throw hole 1, okay, not SMD, so that will enable us to get less list of components. As we see here, we can choose the in-stock one, and also has a CAD model if it's possible, and then I apply, and we reduce our selection to 48 choice here. And after we go down, I think you have seen some, yeah, you can select here one of these things, okay, but I think I'm interested in parts like this one, for example. Look at this. So this one makes sense for me more because it's available in my lab, so I will click on this. And again, we can double check the sizes and the prices and everything, and if it's available on the stock, and then I will copy this code. Back to my Altium, go to panel, manufacturer part search, and then I paste it, and then we'll wait a few seconds to make Altium import all the information. As we see, yes, it is here, and it's available from other resellers as well. You can compare the prices and see the stocks, but the most important thing is it has a symbol and also footprint. Let's download that. A few seconds later I will get this message, okay, and we close this one, and we go to the file and uncompress it, extract it, and then we have the same 3 files. We can get this one, the schematic, yes it is. I copy it, go back to my project. You have to practice that with me so you can memorize the steps, and go to my schematic library and paste it. And because the name here is not really meaning anything, so I have to press double click here and get, it's a header 2P, for example, and you can add any other things if you want, but that's done. So this one, the footprint is not the one that I want, and then we go back, and then we bring the PCB library, and copy it, go back to my project, my PCB library, and now go back to PCB library and paste it here. And I have my third component, double click and call it header, for example, 2P, and press OK. And by this way, I already saved the third component, but I need to link its symbol in the schematic library with its footprint in the PCB library. So I have to go to schematic library here and press on this header and add footprint, and tell Altium that I need to select it from my PCB library, which is this one. Press OK, and I have now to make a save all. Otherwise, you will have a component without linkage. Okay, and then after you done everything, so you can go to your schematic, and then you go to your library, and then you have your third component here. Okay, you can drag and drop, and everything now it's done. Okay, so you can close this one, the free documents here, and everything is done. Just to make sure that already everything is saved, so you can save to server again to confirm it's all updated and uploaded. So here we go. I think we have the schematic. The next step is to connect these components together, and we have to make a good orientation for the components. So this one, if I want to orient it or rotate it, I just press space. By space, I can move it and also rotate it, and then I can go for place and wire to make the wires between these components, or I can go to press on this one, right click, and I can choose wire. And then we go to first component, click, one click, and then move, another click, move, another click, move, another click, and here similar click, move, click, click, move, click, click, click. Okay, and then if you want to finish the wire function, you can press the right button in the mouse or escape in the keyboard. That's everything. Okay, so there are some symbols here which are already not needed, or you can change it. For example, this resistor here, I can double click on that and replace the comment here with the 330 ohm, for example. Okay, and press enter. For this lid, I don't need this text here, so I can go for comment and make it invisible by pressing on this button here, and also the for the header, the same thing like that. Okay, so it's now cleaner. Now, if we want to add names for some of these nets, but I will not add name for everything. I will, for example, add a ground for the board. So I can go for this symbol here and press and go down and press. Okay, so we have the ground, and I can press escape just to finish the ground function. Okay, if you want to zoom in and out using control and wheel. Okay, again, you can add 5 or VCC bar here. You can go to the same ground thing symbol and press right button, and you can choose VCC positive 12, negative 12, or positive 5, negative 5. So I will select positive 5 and go here, and then I will select wire again and wire this here and wire the ground there. All right, so this net has a wire like 5 volt, and this net has a name like ground. Okay, this one will be named by Altium itself. Okay, now after looking at that, we have the header has a name P question mark, this resistor R question mark, this lid question mark, which is not the proper naming. We need to annotate them. You can annotate them manually, but I prefer to choose annotation by the tools that we have here. So we can go for tools, annotation, annotate schematic, and you will find here this window where it says you have 3 components. I can now annotate them by pressing updated change list, and it says yes, you have 3 components, we need to rename them. I press OK, and then I say accepted changes, and it appears here another window, and I can say execute. By executing, it will change lid question mark to lid 1, P to B1, R to R1. Execute, all done, perfect, close, and then close, and you have the names here. You can just save again, and everything now in the schematic is well done. We are now on the step of converting that schematic to a PCB. How to do that? Remember, all components already are attached to footprints. Already every one has footprint. Okay, we already saved our components and linked them to footprints. That will save a lot of time now. Okay, so now to convert the schematic to PCB, we can go to design and update PCB document, and after pressing on this one, it will bring you to this window where it says you have components like lid 1, P1, and R1. You have also nets, which is positive 5, negative, positive 5 and ground, and another net. But we have other things here, okay, which I prefer to rid of currently because we don't want rooms and other things. How to do that? Let's say now close. We go to project and then project options, and then we go to class generation, and I remove this one, I remove this one, and okay. In this way I remove the complication of my circuit, okay, or conversion. I go to design again, update, and by this way I just have my components and my nets only. Now before we execute, we have to validate that we have all components with their footprint are already mapped well and recognized by Altium by pressing on validate changes. And as we see here, everything is green because we already mapped them previously very well, okay. And then after I execute the changes, it says here all done, green, okay, and I can close, and this is my PCB. It's empty, but if you zoom out a little bit, you can find your components here, okay. So we have 3 components appearing, okay. If you have less components, that means your mapped components are wrong, okay. So what we have to do now, I think you can observe that the black area here is very big compared with the size we want for the 3 components here. So what we need to do is to resize this one, okay. How to do that? We can go for view, board planning mode, and we go for design. We can go for edit board shape or modify board shape. I will go for edit, and then I can just bring this like that, and then bring this like that, and that's, I think, more than enough. I zoom again and move that by right click on the mouse. I can move it like this, right click on the mouse, okay, and everything is, yeah, seems all right now. So let's go back to view and 2-dimension layout, and now I have the ability to move all components and bringing them inside my board like this, okay, and I can rotate them. But there's a trick here in the rotation. If you want to rotate this one, for example, you can't just select it and then press space. You can't do that. You have to select it and keep your button hold on, okay. Hold on your button, mouse button, and then you can now press escape, press space, and it will rotate. The same thing for here. Keep the mouse pressed, and then you can rotate it like that, okay. It appears for me that everything now is done. You can just bring that down below like that, and this one like here, and that's it, okay. So the next step is to wire them by traces, okay. So how to do that? We have here this this icon. We can press on the right button of the mouse and we select interactive routing, and we can start routing. How we do that? On the right side here, we have to select the layer, okay. Is it the top layer or bottom layer? I will keep it for top layer. And you can also select the width of the trace. Is it 10 mil or, for example, higher? If you already have some rolls in your Altium, okay, that prevent you to go up, so you have to change the roll later. But I will go for 10 mil now, all right? Because if I change it to 20 and press OK, it will not change that, okay. So let's go for the first terminal here, and if you just observe here, I think once I just approach the center of that terminal, I think a circle appears. That means it's a proper position for your mouse to start in, okay. So let's now go press, okay, without holding. You can just click one time and go up, and it will start routing for you, okay. So I will go that, press again and go, press again and go like this, and here we go, okay. So this is the first wire. I want to do this again like that, and you can go like this. So see the circle, okay, and it's done. Now for the third component, okay, for the third component, this is my mistake, okay. For the third component, I want to start from the top side here for top layer, and then we'll end up at the bottom layer here. How I can do that? Okay, I think we can start again by routing, okay, and then we'll come to this point here, but I will finish by double click or just escape, okay. And now we have to go for the bottom side. This is just an example, And to go from the top side to the bottom side, or top layer to the bottom layer, you have to use via. So I go to place and select via, and here is the via. I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so you can just drop it where is the trace, and that circle appears. And now this will convert me from the top to the bottom layer. I press escape and go to the root again, and this time we'll choose the bottom layer. Okay, and we'll start from this via, and we'll go like that, and then we'll end up at this terminal here. And yes, we already finished. Okay, so by this way, I think already I wired all the wires here. You can go for escape, and you can reposition if you want your lids. Okay, components, you can add any other things if you want, and you can add also a polygon. Polygon is piece of cover that can cover your board to reduce the amount of cover etched at the etching process, or it will cover your board and make it less noise sensitivity. Okay, so how we do a polygon here, we can go for place, and I can go for polygon pour, and here you can select if it's top layer, and then you can select the net that it will be connected to. So I will make it connected to ground. Okay, by this way. Okay, so then we'll start drawing your polygon. Okay, I will draw it as a rectangle like this. And then right button of the mouse, and then it will finish. Okay, by this way, it's already now pouring some cover, and that cover is connected to ground. Okay, and the ground is already here. It's obvious that it has some connection there and some connection there. You can also add a text to your file or your board by going to this A. Okay, but it seems that this this text is on the top layer. I don't want it top layer, so what I need to do, I need to select here the top overlay layer first. Okay, and then go to A, and yes, I can bring that here as a first board. Okay, then I can write anything else, but I will keep it like that. Okay, so that's everything from the component allocation side, and also connecting them using the traces. And I can save everything now. But I need to see the 3D model and visualize how it's already look like. So I can go for view and 3D model, and yes, it seems, yeah, it's perfectly match what I already imagine. Okay, so you can press the right button of your mouse and you can move it like this. But if you want to rotate it, you should press the shift key. Okay, and then use the right mouse button, and you can rotate it and look around. All right, that's everything, and it seems for me that it's already perfectly done, and the traces are correctly connected. Okay, now we can go to 2D again, and that's everything. So remember, what we have done is we already inserted our sample. Our samples were saved in our library and inserted them in our schematic, and already we have our footprints also saved in our PCB library. So if we already now closed the project and moved it to another machine, it will open as well. If you already have another way to do the project, make sure that your components are not lost by moving the project or opened later by another version of Altium. By this way, I think we avoided a lot of problems to do or create a PCB. And I think what the next step is to bring all the files, the fabrication files from Altium, and send them to one of the PCB manufacturer. So in the next videos, I think I will cover some tools, some hints, some steps to convert the PCBs to fabrication files, and also some other things that might stress other sides of PCB skills and knowledge.
So what's required from you now? You go down below, download the link, and if you are a student, go and get the license and start with me step by step toward our first finalized PCB board design. So if you reach this point of the video, so thank you very much. I think we already now have some knowledge about using Altium, and if you have other ways to do some steps that already we done in the video, please add them in the comment below. So at the end, thank you very much and see you next time.